Truth is universal. Truth belongs to no man. I came up with that quote. I came up with that saying when I was doing a video. And the video was pertaining to how we as black people love to quote or cite sources of our information. And black people, especially black men, they tend to make it a big deal. They tend to make it a real big deal that sources should be cited. But I don't think that sources should be cited. Because, just because I got a particular source, or I got a specific or a certain array of information from a source, doesn't mean that source is the owner of that information. That makes sense? Because that source could have gotten his information from another source. You see what I'm saying? When it comes to, I think the only time that we don't cite sources, or the only time that we should cite sources, is for someone who actually made a discovery. Okay? But even if that person did make the discovery, is that discovery his or hers? See, that discovery that they found is truth, right? But that truth does not belong to them. Truth belongs to no man. Truth is universal. Maybe somebody else had found it millenniums before that person did, and they wrote about it. You see, that's just like the pineal gland, right? And whenever we talk about the pineal gland, it is always referred to as the third eye. The pineal gland is viewed as the third eye, is viewed as the seat of the soul, the light of the body. But the seat of the soul came from I believe he was a French philosopher or something to that effect. His name was Rene Descartes. I believe it is. I think it's spelled Descartes. But he was the one who said that it was the seat of the soul. Now, did he make the discovery of the pineal gland? Or had the pineal gland been known millenniums prior to his findings? You see what I'm saying? And it was in Egypt, the eye of Horus, as they call it, is Horus's third eye. Okay. But I'm not going to get off into the third eye, but I'm just making a point that no one is the owner of information. If I decide to say that, if I decide to write an article or a book that says the pineal gland is the seat of the soul, right? Why should I quote Rene Descartes? I don't believe that I should, because it is the seat of the soul. After doing research, you discover that the soul is inside of the mind. It's inside of the brain. The mind is inside of the brain. It goes to I said I wasn't gonna get off into that, but not just the third eye. What about lights? The light bulb. Okay. Whenever someone talks about the light bulb, everyone thinks about Thomas Edison. Okay. But Thomas Edison the light bulb wasn't even his idea. Okay, he didn't come up with a design for the light bulb. Okay, if you want to go back, it was the Moors who really sparked the idea for Thomas Edison. Because the Moors had brought civilization to Europe, and part of that civilization that they brought was street lights. And the street lights were candles inside of these containers, but if you want to go back further than that, the first bulb you saw in Egypt. Okay, so everything goes back, and if we this is why it is important, for especially in the Kemetic community, for those who are practicing Kemetic science, to learn the Medu Neter. But if there's this argument that the Medu Neter is, or the deciphering, or the way that the Medu Neter is deciphered comes from the Caucasian. After studying, for a while, even there's one book that I'm surprised no one has mentioned, and I have the book, and I'm not gonna say what the book is. And there's a documentary. There's like a 4 or 6 part documentary, and in one of those parts, the author of this book that I have, he's in this documentary, and he says, that we didn't know what these hieroglyphics meant. We went to this group of people. He says the group of people that they went to. They went to these group of people, and they asked them, what does this mean? And these group of people had hieroglyphics in their village, or whatever you want to call it, in their community, that some of those hieroglyphics was the same as those in Egypt. Okay. But not to get too deep off into the Medunetter, but I said all of that to make a point that those who practice Kemetic science should learn the Medunetter in order to read it for themselves and find out these very these ideas that people are saying that they discovered, or that they are the inventor of this and they're the inventor of that, when really they got it from Egypt. Not just Egypt. There's some technology that people found in China or Japan that can't be traced back to Egypt, but traced back to a group of aboriginals, or the darker phenotype of those present day people. Okay, those first people that were there when the continents were all together. But as far as that argument is concerned about the Medunetter, it's if it's a white person's, or it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day when it's all said and done, it traces back to a group of black people. No matter which way you go with it, whether they tainted it or not, it came from a group of black people. The parts that are right came from a group of black people. Okay, but I'm not gonna make this video too long. But I just wanted to get the point out there that the truth is universal, and no one should have to go to court for truth. No one should monetize, or not monetize, but no one should copyright truth. Me personally, I feel that way. Let me explain, because I didn't choose the right words just then. No one has the monopoly on the truth, right? I don't think that if I say that think of an example right quick. If I find a letter written by Malcolm X or somebody from the civil rights era, and I put that quote in a book, or no, let's just say if I find a letter and I publish the letter, is that letter my letter? Should someone come to me and say, Thomas, can I use that letter that you published in my book? That is very egotistical for someone to sue someone for using material that isn't even theirs. You see, that's just like someone writing a book and they're using Bible scriptures, and someone reads that book and they go and write their own book, and they say, well, Douglas J. Del Tondo said this, and this is the scripture that he used. It would be real egotistical for Douglas J. Del Tondo to sue the person that used his name and his reference, in their book. You see what I'm saying? the reference, which would probably be Tertullian or Marcion, or things of that nature. Those aren't his. Even if he took words out of context, and he not took words out of context, but if he changed words around, and and he gave the original Marcionic or Tertullian quote a more English sounding, so that people can understand it, it's still not his quote. That quote still belongs to Tertullian and Marcion. But overall, truth is universal. Okay. No one has the monopoly on truth. Okay. Quoting the sources of the information that you found, and put in your book or in your article, that's something that Europeans do. Okay? That's not something that we do. When you look at the hieroglyphics on the wall, you don't know who wrote those hieroglyphics. You don't know who did it. The books of the dead, no one knows who did them. No one knows who actually did the book of the dead for those people, those persons who were being buried. That's why they hypothesize or come to the conclusion that priests did it. Okay, but that there weren't, I don't think that there were any priests fighting each other over whose book of the dead was better, and everyone should follow my book of the dead because my book of the dead is better. But it's all intellectual masturbation. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. It's all just intellectual masturbation. And they like to sound real intelligent when they quote scholars that no one has ever heard of. A lot of the scholars that a lot of these dudes quote, I heard of, and the way that they say that a lot of these scholars are accepted in the scholarly community, as these big names. Man, a lot of these scholars could wipe their ass with the scholar that you use, that you say is this big bad scholar. A lot of people was, making a lot of noise about Bart Ehrman until I actually started doing some Bart Ehrman research myself. And he's accepted in the scholar community because there's no one that can beat him in debates. But as far as his information is concerned, they hate him for the information that he puts out. You see what I'm saying? His work is accepted, but he himself is not. You see what I'm saying? But don't get gassed up, about this scholarship. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. That's why I prefer philosophy. I prefer philosophy over scholarship any day, because scholarship can always be debunked. Arguments come from scholarship, but no one can argue philosophy, because my philosophy is not is who people if me and a group of other philosophers sit down at a table and we talk about our different philosophies and how we view life, okay, we can all teach each other and still hold on to our own philosophy. That you can't do that with scholarship. With scholarship, is if it's wrong, you have to change your information. You know, you have to. There is no, philosophy is based on subjectivity. Scholarship is based on objectivity. Okay? With scholarship, everything has to be right. In philosophy, things can be right and things can be wrong, but who really knows what's right and what's wrong? This is why a lot of people prefer Socrates' philosophy. You know, I think, what is it? I think, or I know, not that I think, or in so many words, he's saying that what I think I know, I don't really know. You see what I'm saying? And that's true. And that's true, because a lot of these so-called scholars in the black conscious community, and I'm talking about not the elders. I'm not talking about the elders. I'm talking about those persons who's like, you know, I don't want to call names. If the shoe fit, wear it. But there are a lot of scholars in the conscious community that I see, that I feel they talk a good game about, they talk real good about these Christians and their belief system and this, that, and third. But I really believe that they're still struggling with, is God real? Is he really real? You know, they're still battling with that thought. You see, I didn't want to, veer off, from the subject, but all of this stuff ties in together. All this stuff ties in together. We as black people, we as black people have to come together. We as black people need to start coming together, man. And stop arguing over petty shit. We have to. We shouldn't be arguing over who has the most white people references. And then you want to say, let's kill the white man and this, that, and third. You're not finna kill shit. You see what I'm saying? Unless your name is Kareem Gaines, Michael Johnson, or Gavin Long, I don't believe shit you say. Talking about kill the damn white man, but you using the white man's references. We look in the back of your book, and all of your references is white people. None of your references come from a black scholar. And then when you get in a heated debate, and then you want to your back's against the wall, now you start saying the elders used white references. Oh, they did they? But I'm telling you, but a lot of people in the conscious community are full of shit. They really are. You can't, think about it before you get mad. If you say that you want to kill the white man, but you have the white man's books on your shelf, you do a book review, in the majority of the books that you are showing me are by white people. Okay. don't know. I don't know. That's not that's not me, just bashing you, man, for you can't say that you want to kill the white man and you using his references. You using his books to prove your points. And let's talk about Dr. York and how they say that, Dr. York doesn't use references or didn't include any of his references. Why did he? Think about this. Dr. York he came out around the time, let's see, you had the 70s, there weren't any computers, then you had the 80s, there was some computers, then you had the 90s, there were computers then, and the early 2000s computers were reaching their apex, right? So he always said, if you don't believe me, check it out. Now, a lot of people will say, he knew nobody could find the information that he had. You're a lie. A lot of the people that Dr. York used were big names during those times. Zechariah Sitchin was a big name in the 70s and 80s, but the point is, Dr. York isn't the only one that didn't put sources. You have Mortai Ashby, who doesn't cite his sources. Ra'u Nefer Amen, who does not cite his sources. And you have many other black philosophers. I call them philosophers. Black teachers who don't quote sources. But that's all I had to say. That's all I had to say, concerning this topic. But the one thing that I want to leave is that truth is universal. Okay, evidence is universal. No man has a monopoly on the truth, and no man owns the truth. Okay. That being said, leave a comment below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.